Hi there, and welcome to the Responsible Use of Social Media presentation, brought to you by the Digital Knowledge Development and Exchange Subcommittee of the Centre for Chronic Disease Prevention at the Public Health Agency of Canada. This is one of several presentations created in December of 2014 to support conversations about implementing the Centre's digital strategy. My name is Tom Carney, and I will be your narrator today. To get us started, let's watch a video on the subject of social media at work, created by Transport Canada and adapted from a video created by the Department of Justice in Australia, a great example of sharing in the new economy. The video talks about getting to know the guidelines. There are two main policy instruments to learn about. The first is the Guideline on Acceptable Network and Device Use, and the second is the Code on Values and Ethics. We will take a quick look at each of these. The Guideline on Acceptable Network and Device Use is full of good guidance on social media, and everyone should take the time to read it. I've pulled out some of the more salient bits in the next few slides. One of the important distinctions the Guideline makes is between types of use: official use, professional use, and personal use. Official use is limited to those with special training and specific permission. Your use will likely be personal and professional. You can see in the bit about professional use that there's an expectation that you will use social media for learning and networking, and that at a minimum you really should have a LinkedIn profile. Are public servants allowed to use the Internet and Web 2.0 tools and services? Well, yes, they are. In fact, according to the Guideline, the use of Internet through Government of Canada electronic networks and devices is essential to transforming the way public servants work and serve Canadians. And we all know how important transformation is with Blueprint 2020 and the like. The guideline talks about what's considered acceptable use. The next few slides will provide some examples. Feel free to pause this presentation if you want to review the slides in detail. Here are some examples of acceptable professional use. You can see that there's a wide range of acceptable uses that mostly have to do with learning, networking, and career development. Here are some examples of acceptable personal use, all of which seems pretty reasonable. And finally, here are some examples of unacceptable use, most of which are pretty obvious. The ones to look out for are typically our duty of loyalty and liability. Basically, I would suggest that you avoid criticizing the government's activities and don't share any private information. The guideline includes this helpful table on what you should and shouldn't do when it comes to social media. Most of this has been covered in the video we saw earlier. Feel free to pause the presentation if you'd like to spend some time with this slide. The second policy instrument that's relevant to social media is the Values and Ethics Code for the Public of Service. This is the same code that guides all of your behavior as a public servant. There are 5 core values in the code, and I'm sure you're familiar with them all. Just like in a public meeting, as a public servant, you're expected to conduct yourself in accordance with these values on social media. Here are 5 pointers to help you get started. There's nothing wrong with lurking to start. By lurking, I mean that you create an account if you have to, but that you do not actually say anything. Find and view the conversations that interest you. See how others are participating. When you're ready, share, but do so in a respectful manner. Don't give away any secrets. Think of social media as a public meeting, and be careful with opinions. The public service is impartial, and you should be too. I hope this presentation has helped you with understanding that social media as a Government of Canada employee is not only allowed, it is encouraged for personal and professional use. For official use, you need to speak with your communications department. In the meantime, you might consider exploring the Government of Canada's 2 internal social tools: GCpedia, a wiki that is used for a wide variety of things, and GC Connects, a professional networking platform with hundreds of groups that you can join. In the public realm, you should definitely have a LinkedIn profile, and you might want to see what hashtags interest you on Twitter. And of course, Facebook rounds out the big 3 social media platforms. There are literally hundreds of other social services, some of which you might find valuable. Happy exploring! Happy exploring! Thank you for taking the time to view this video. If you have any comments or suggestions, please connect with me on Twitter, @TomKearney. See you on the interweb.